So one of the main things coming into the rule set this year is control. It's one of the things that's been talked about the most, and we've sort of had a good inkling for a while that CTF was going to be replaced because, for one, it's not in the game. And control seems to be the game mode that is replacing it. It will be our third map played. Of course, we will play Hardpoint, S&D, Control, Hardpoint, S&D, which will be good. I'm looking forward to it. Overall, I feel pretty good about Control, but I'm just going to break down the positives around it, the negatives around it, and the fixes for the negatives around it. There's plenty to talk about, so let's get into it. Positives, for me, it's something new, it's something exciting. CTF for me was getting a little bit stale, and specifically last year it was pretty slow. And I think going into this year, yes, okay, it's a faster paced game than World War II was, but realistically with 5v5 it could have been a little bit slower. Yes, okay, the pace would have been high, but there's too many people on the map to be pulling flags and to be able to actually make them home. The map's pretty small. It just would have been cut off all the time. I don't know. I just think it would have been too slow to capture flags. We probably would have seen low-scoring games. And because it's new, I feel like control is going to develop over the year. There's going to be time for teams to start learning it a bit more, and it'll take a while for teams to learn it fully, specifically on the big map pool that we currently have for it, although that will get trimmed down. But there's going to be opportunities for teams to have unique strategies, and this is something that we haven't necessarily seen in Call of Duty for a while. So it's going to be up to teams to try and come up with something different, to try and win maps of control for the most part, and it's going to be good to watch. But I know it's slightly different, but when I played in Publix, when it gets down to those moments where there's only 3 lives left, or it's in the very last round, things can get really, really tense. They're really interesting to watch. So overall, I'm super excited to see Control next year. But let's delve into a couple of negatives, because there is some, and this isn't me being sort of pessimistic about the game. There's a few things in terms of the game mode that can be changed, and if they are changed, it's going to be great. This is the thing. I think a lot of people are saying with Black Ops 4, we got a game on our hands that, with a couple of changes here and there, it's going to be one of the best Call of Duties we've ever had competitively. Let's move into the negatives then. So seemingly, it does seem as if defense is a lot easier. With this, you really can just read into that, because all you have to do, especially with the limited lives that you both have, is defend and hold your position. And it's easier to get kills if you're standing still and you're not having to attack in a point. So that's why it's just going to be easier for defense to hold that one. Some suggestions that have been made to maybe change it up is give the attackers some more lives, but I don't know if that's going to be any good, because certain maps will be easier to attack and certain will be easier to defend, you would imagine. But for the most part, it's probably going to be defense being easier, so you can't really increase the lives in that respect. And it just means that attackers could then just trade kills as much as they can, and because they have an advantage, it would get to the point of where they just need to literally trade kills the whole time and they win the round. Next thing, this was something that Rab brought up when I spoke to him on his video on his channel about control, which a lot of the similar sort of points were made. I'll link that down in the description if I remember. But score streaks is a big thing, because if you get to defend first, as said, it's a little bit easier, so you can just post up, wait on them coming, and then just get those streaks because you're defending, you're getting more points because you're staying alive easier, because you've got better cover, better. You just sort of know where they're coming from, and it's just easy. It's typically easier to defend, meaning it's going to be easier to get score streaks. This is a little bit like when, last year you had our Dead and Forest CTF, and on the certain side, I think obviously if you were attacking bunker side, that was an easier side. So then if you started making up some kills, capture some flags, you expected to go into the half of the lead, I should say, you would get streaks, making the second half inherently easier. Now, if that happens on control, you're defending first, and then that's going to make your attack, which is already difficult. Sorry, it's going to make your attack, which was supposed to be difficult, easier, because then you've got streaks that the enemy didn't have in that first round when they tried to attack it. So I think for me, the solution to that is to wipe score streaks every round. So if you get a score streak, you've got to use it in that round that you're attacking or defending, and if you don't, it gets wiped. That makes it a level, fair playing field going into the next round. Whereas if it wasn't that way, then you just have one good defensive round, and then suddenly once you've had a good defensive round, you've then got more tools in your arsenal to use on your next attacking round, making it harder for the enemy team to defend when you just defended not against any score streaks. It's not really fair. So for me, that's a big one. I would really like to see teams have the opportunity to wipe score streaks after each round, meaning that you know there's not going to be certain sides where it is easier to pretty much win it. One of the other things is capturing one's site. So I think there's going to be times where there's certain maps that you figure out it's easier to defend one side. For instance, C side, A is inherently easier to defend than B is. So we could see teams just pushing and leaving B alone, letting them capture it and using all their lives to defend A. And that is really just a bit of a tactic, if you like, but I think realistically, it'd be disappointing to see. It could make it a boring beginning to the round where you're waiting on teams just capturing 1 point and then the action starts. And that's not what we want to see from a competitive integrity level. Just bringing my document back up because I've forgot a couple of things that I was going to talk about. But yeah, I just want to... There's not really too many fixes to this. It's just a tactic. But it's one of the negatives for me about this game mode that we could see some teams maybe just take advantage of certain maps and of certain sites, I should say. Now, where were we at? Because I was doing that thing again where I was reading it on my phone, so I didn't get this glare in my face, and then my phone has typically just died. I've been grossly underprepared. Anyway, back into it. This is the biggest problem for me, though, is when it comes down to that fifth and final round, it turns out that whoever is attacking first, if it goes to a fifth round, will be attacking in the fifth and deciding round. Same for the defense side, obviously, as well. And that's not fair to me. I think you should have the option to choose. And I think if that is the case, then it's going to wield a fair result. So, as I said, right now, the fifth round is based on what you start with. With certain sides being easier on each map, it just basically comes down to who picks the side. It's going to be easier for them to win, and that shouldn't be the case. And there's a lot of things that have been suggested instead of a fifth round, and I'm just going to run through a couple of them and tell you what my favorites are. So, I mean, there's the typical one where there's the one site in the middle of the map. I don't like that idea because there is still going to be a side that's easily better to defend, to attack it from or defend it from or whatever. Even if everyone's sort of free-for-all in the middle, there's going to be certain maps that have certain sides, whatever you're on, it's going to be easier. And that's hard to counteract against. I think another one, though, some people were saying kills, and whoever gets the most kills decides which side you get to pick. I don't like that. It's a simple solution, but I don't think it's necessarily the fairest. I think capture points taken could be the thing to distinguish who gets to pick a side for the fifth and final round. Now, let me explain. So, say your team won and you're attacking first and you manage to capture A but not B, the enemy team obviously wins the round. But then when they go on to attack, say team 2 have got to attack and they don't capture either, then you've still done better. So maybe we should have something. There is something on the scoreboard called captures. So the team with however many sort of captures, whoever has the most should maybe get the opportunity to pick a side because they've done better throughout the series, throughout the map, so to speak. So I like that idea, but probably my favorite is a sudden death scenario. So if it does get to the fifth and final round, then we have to have an overtime like we had in CTF, where both teams would have a go at it, and whoever captured a flag first, that would sort of end the round. And then obviously the other team would get an opportunity to do that in a faster time. In this situation, if you're playing control and you go to attack A and B, if you do that in, say, 2 minutes, and then the other team have to beat that time. And if it's not distinguished who can actually do it, so say you push it and you can't capture it and the defense wins, then obviously you have to then win your defense in that scenario as well. Say somebody attacks in sudden death and they capture one of the points, and you attack and you don't capture any of them. The team that attacked and captured one of the points should still win because they did better in the sudden death round. I know it's very complicated and I probably sound like I'm rambling a little bit about this one, but I think that should be the way that it's done. A sudden death sort of round where whoever does better on the attack wins, doesn't have to actually win the attack overall, maybe just get 1 point and then that's enough. Or if you want to be really, really in-depth, maybe the amount of thirds that you capture on the point, because obviously it's 3 different bits where it doesn't drop down. there's that sort of thing. So I think that is the best suggestion, but overall, I'm excited to see Control this year. It's something brand new, something we haven't had before. It's quite similar to Demolition that we've seen way back in Black Ops 1 in competitive. So I used to play that back in the day, and I'm really excited to see a game mode like this. I can't wait for Vegas. I can't wait to see the 2Ks. I've been trying to watch scrims of people play Control, and overall, I'm one of the guys who's very, very positive about it, and I'm really looking forward to see how this year goes with Control in our rule set. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, please leave it a like. A subscription will be fantastic as well. I think I'm going to do one more video on the rule set, sort of my overall feelings on it, after we've had it time for it to sort of sink in a little bit of what we're going to be playing with. Immediately, I actually already like that the CWL have already made changes. We've seen Hacienda introduced last night for Hardpoint, I think it was for something. Either way, I'm really happy about that, because a lot of pros were talking about it being one of the better maps, and it shows that they're listening. It shows that they're willing to adapt this V1 rule set very, very quickly. It's already happened fast anyway. We're going to leave it there, guys. We'll see you in another video through the week. We'll catch you then.